Hello, everyone. My name is Mohammad Kaskas, and today, me and my partner Adam Ali are going to do our best to persuade you about how life skills should be taught in schools and should be a part of the curriculum. We believe that high schools should have mandatory classes on subjects like time management, money management, human survival or basic first aid, and many more. As a young adult going into college, did you know how to acquire a student loan for college, or let alone open a bank account? I know I didn't. I had to do my research and ask others for advice. We think that these are very important things that should commonly be taught in schools in order for the student to have a better chance at success and a smoother ride. First off, I'd like to start with our first problem. Our first problem is that schools do not offer electives like money management and personal finance, but instead are too focused on offering electives like art, ceramics, and robotics. We aren't saying that these classes they provide are not helpful nor bad, but we feel like the subjects that we have presented to you today should have some importance in the schooling system. In the public schools that children and teenagers attend today, they are taught English and mathematics, but not how to apply for a job or file your taxes, which is a big problem because statistically, the average student dropout rate is between 43% and 55%, which means they are applying for jobs and going in different paths that don't require mathematics or English, but require real life experience, which they could be getting in school. In recent years, the percentage of young adults returning to their parents' homes after leaving has skyrocketed. We believe having more real-life learning in high school may solve the new generation's inability to become independent. Some examples of topics that should be taught in school include learning about taxes, mortgages, insurance loans, voting, resumes, and job interviews. These classes, along with the regular classes taught today, will further improve the student's knowledge. Moving on to our next problem. Our second problem is that most schools do not fund each department equally. Almost in all cases, schools favor their sports teams and they end up getting the majority of the school funding because of equipment and other components that go into that. And the other departments just aren't as well funded. Adam and I have experienced this firsthand in high school. Our football team had just received new pads and new equipment, while our science department was asking for donations for microscopes and other types of equipment. In some cases, all over the United States, schools are underfunded, especially in the low-income areas. This also ties into the first problem, because in order to add those extra classes into the curriculum, you need to have the extra funding. And without that extra funding, the student won't be at their full potential to learn. Public school funding in the United States comes from federal, state, and local sources. But because nearly half of those funds come from local property taxes, the system generates large funding differences between wealthy and impoverished communities.
With problems come solutions. The solution to the problems we have discussed would be to have these schools and learning centers to add classes that are more beneficial for the student and could help them tremendously in the long run. Also making sure that each department in the school is equally funded. An idea that we have come up with is having a survey in the beginning of the year for students to answer questions on that would help them improve to get closer and learn the path of what they would want to pursue in their futures. Doing so would help these general ideas being refreshed and not fall off on the road to their goals. How does this solve the first problem we discussed? Some examples of classes that could be very beneficial are money management and taxes. By adding these types of classes to the curriculum, it gives the students a better chance of success. Most high schools provide classes like economics and such, but there is a lot more to learn about in life's keys to success, financially, and handling things that are not taught in most public schools. Now, how do we solve our second problem? By making sure that each department is equally funded and taken care of, it gives the students the best ability to learn and in some cases enjoy learning. For example, if a class of computer technology students have a great passion and want to broadly explore the field, there shouldn't be a setback financially if their school's athletics or other departments is greatly funded. If this were to all come together, the results would be having the educational system adding certain classes, which would mean a student would actually visualize their future and have a sense of what they would want to do and pursue in their futures. Not always does a student want to pursue going into college or a different school, but maybe a trade that they can get into. Where if these certain trades of choice, like mechanics, engineering, and etc., they would have the chance of doing so instead of a class that is useless to their goals. Expanding the financial status of each department equally would mean that the classes that some students find interesting would be expanded and given more opportunities to learn in that certain field. A plan that we have put together to pull all of this together would be having a starting point, which is actually having the schools listen to the students and what they would want to broadly like to learn. In a deeper sense, finding the students' passion along their academic journey from their youth stages to their graduating stages. By doing this, they will actually want to enjoy and think about their futures while they are learning the key points on what will lead them to that point. Now, what should they do secondly? Secondly is implementing a budget term for each department that is divided equally for each department. We believe that even if funding isn't high, each department is entitled to have equal power. An example of this was in 2017, as me and Mohammad were on the football team. As he said earlier, there was not a great financial divider between the athletic programs and the actual educational programs in our high school. This caused a great disruption for the students that actually had a passion for the science classes when the athletics program was getting more money for that and it wasn't equally divided. In the end, we both went through 12 years of the schooling system, and these are the only things we wished we actually learned from the school. We hope that the future generations can experience a learning environment that will make them look forward to every day and want to pursue something that they truly have a value to in their futures.